Hi there, and welcome to my review for Unsane. So Unsane is a new film by Soderbergh, and it's kind of a horror thriller. It basically follows a woman who's been stalked and who has problems, and so she goes to talk to somebody and then ends up being locked in a mental hospital and she can't escape and she can't convince people that she's sane, and she ends up just being kind of stuck there. And I think that premise is kind of a nice little premise. It's not particularly flashy and it's quite simple, but as a whole, the film just genuinely pulls some thrills out of that. It is quite thrilling, it is a little scary at times, it's certainly quite an intense little journey, especially just the idea of not being able to prove to people that you're sane. I mean, that really is quite scary as a concept. You know, the way that authorities consistently let her down is kind of interesting. I think there's other little things here that are interesting. So first of all, the film is about stalking, and I feel like that is really kind of a fascinating look at how women sometimes might feel unsafe, look at how stalking can affect somebody mentally, or where they can really affect somebody's mind, or where that people can be driven insane with this kind of thing. And I think it's really quite fascinating to just watch this story unfold, because it is quite a nasty story, and unfortunately a story that I reckon has some relevancy to some people. But I don't think it's making a profound statement or anything, but I do think at least has this interesting sort of theme to do with stalking just hidden underneath the surface. I think another theme the film has is quite a few allusions to faults in the American healthcare system, which, although I don't think is necessarily done very well, I don't think the film really draws on. I think it's kind of just offhandedly mentioned, and I think the resolution is kind of a bit too optimistic for my liking. I think at least there's kind of acknowledgement that the American healthcare system has flaws, which is something which I think most people can definitely see. I would have liked perhaps the film to dig further with that, but it doesn't really matter that it didn't. It's not really going for that vibe, it's not trying to make a political statement, I don't think. So the film really does work. There's an intense little thriller, it really is quite scary. It's unfortunately quite generic, and I have to say, once you really get it with the premise, it kind of is predictable and it kind of goes like how you expect. It's not a film that really does anything more than the standard thriller horror type movie. It's certainly pretty much a generic one of those movies about an insane person and like horror. Yeah, it's tropey and ropey, and Steven Soderbergh hasn't really made a movie here which is revolutionary. What he's trying to do though is something revolutionary regarding his camera. So he's filmed this entire film with an iPhone, and that's kind of a big deal, although it really isn't, because Tangerine filmed with an iPhone a few years back, so I don't even know why such big deals we made out of this with an iPhone. I mean, we have already had iPhone movies out there. But the big deal of this is for an iPhone, and supposedly Steven Soderbergh was like, oh, it looks great. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. The colour palette is all kind of yellowy brown, people always look kind of distorted, the lighting is fucking terrible, like really bad in parts. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is the supposed benefit of filming with an iPhone in this context? Like, I get that it's kind of distancing and a little disturbing, but it doesn't particularly add realism to the project. I don't think it particularly makes it look better. Maybe if it looked more normal, I wouldn't like it more, I don't know. But I'm not convinced that using an iPhone here is revolutionary. And incidentally, I think Tangerine, which used an iPhone previously, you know, and also had a cinema release, because I saw it in a cinema, Tangerine looked a lot better. In fact, the lighting on that film wasn't shit, for starters. So yeah, I'm not obsessed with the iPhone look at Unsane. It's certainly interesting, I guess, as a little talking point, but it's not revolutionary, despite how much people may think it is. So yeah, it's pretty fucking standard as a movie. The iPhone thing is kind of interesting. Overall, I genuinely think Unsane has its moments. I think you can't go too far wrong with it as a kind of a horror thriller. It's not exactly revolutionary, but it's not terribly made. It's pretty decent, the performances are strong. It's overall worth seeing, I guess. It's kind of a film I would call an okay film. I wouldn't say it's something I'd really heartily recommend in every way, but you know, you're going to get some out of it if you watch it, probably. That's what I think. Have you seen Unsane? I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have, so leave me a comment, and please leave me a like if you like this video, and you can subscribe if you want to hear more of my reviews. You can follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter to keep up with what films I'm watching, links in the description, and thank you for watching. And Unsane, it's an okay film.